I'm sure people would also want to know that why did you come back, into the corporate world again?
It was a choice, right? That I can, if I'm comfortable doing this, I can do this for the rest of my life. But if I want something more, then I need to maybe go back to the drawing board. A lot more hunger inside me. I was chasing something much bigger.
And what would you like to tell the senior professionals who fear re-entering the corporate world after a break or after a venture?
One of the leaders who interviewed me, the process moved very, very quickly. But he was the chief marketing officer there. And he told me, you know what, this is the role, this is the opportunity. But let me tell you, if in 6 months, if the idea doesn't click, then you might not have a job here, right? Failure is not an option. This has to work. It's a hard call, but it's also in my mind a clear call. You have to move on, you have to move forward. And that involves coming back to, for many people, coming back to a professional career.
And as an entrepreneur, I've always said this, that you need to do a lot of self-talk to yourself. What is that one skill really helped you do well in all of these stages of your career?
If you have good problem-solving skills, that is something that will generally be required in anything you do. One more thing, because I think that's equally important. It's not just a leadership skill, it's also how do you work with stakeholders and peers. So how do you lead teams? It matters in a corporate career. It matters, as an entrepreneur, an appetite to learn. These three things will help you no matter what you do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Careers. Season 2 has been off to a fantastic start, and I just want to take a moment and thank you all for the love and feedback on our first few episodes. It's been truly encouraging to see how much these conversations are resonating and how many of you are actually taking real takeaways back into your career journeys. We are absolutely thrilled to know that. And we are back again with episode 4. And today's episode is going to be different because today we have a guest who brings a refreshingly real lens to careers, leadership, and business impact. No jargon, no gyan, just experiences that are truly lived. So I'm thrilled to welcome Aditya Sandhu, Chief Business Officer at VLCC. What makes Aditya's journey especially interesting is that it's not a straight line success story. It's a full career circle, if I may call it. He started off as a corporate professional with one of the leading business houses of the country, that is ITC, learning the ropes at the ground level, driving execution, delivering outcomes, and living the daily realities of a corporate life of a high pressure role. And then he made the leap into entrepreneurship, which is building, experimenting, taking risks, and seeing business from the owner's lens. And this is where it gets interesting. He again returned to the corporate world, this time with a very different lens, sharper judgment, and a deep understanding of what actually creates welcome. So this combination is definitely rare. And today's episode is going to be a delicious blend, if I may call it, of honest insights from someone who's been there, done that, and came back wiser. Aditya, welcome. And it's a total pleasure to have you with us today on Coffee and Careers.
Thank you, Shivani, for a very, very warm introduction, and pleasure is all mine. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me. And let's see, hopefully there's something that people can take away, that helps them in their careers.
Absolutely. Let's dive in. Let's dive into the vast sea of careers and corporate and entrepreneurship. My God, there's so much to talk today. But before we get on to the business, the core conversation, we always start off with something that we call as the rapid fire brew. So are you ready for that?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Great, super. So since the podcast is called Coffee and Careers, but I just want to do a quick coffee check with you. Are you really team coffee or are you team chai? What do you prefer and why?
I'm going to be honest. I'm a bit of both. So I start my day physically with a cup of chai in the morning, but I start my work day with a cup of coffee. So that helps my mind wake up. So, and get ready, get it. So I have a little bit of both, but yeah, I don't think I could probably start my day without chai, but I can't start my work day without coffee. So we give it to coffee.
Wow. And that's, that's a reflection of your career as well. So best of both worlds, entrepreneurship and corporate life as well.
So, yeah, that's so beautiful.
That explains the answer. Great. Okay, and tell me, what's that one app, that you so often use in your phone that your phone probably judges you for it? What is that app?
I think I have had no choice in that. That app has to be WhatsApp, because these days so much of business happens over WhatsApp, and morning to evening. I don't think there's a minute when your phone is not giving you some kind of signal from WhatsApp, right? But it has to be WhatsApp.
Yeah, great to hear that. I'm not sure how many people would, say that. I hope, there are listeners who listen to this, because if the answer is Instagram, definitely then, that you need to rewire your career strategy. Superb. Okay, last of the coffee brew. If your team, Aditya, had to make a meme called "This is so Aditya," what would it be about?
I think it would be something to do with the fact that I tend to be the one in the room who will, whenever we're making a plan or thinking of, putting together something, I'm the guy who's thinking of what are the 5 different ways it could play out, right? And then, we have an answer for each of those. I think if they made, a meme, it would definitely be around that, because I think that's something which, people, tend to, sort of needle me a little bit, saying that, are you really sure that, all of those 5 need, we really need to think about that right now? But I think, that's also true with leadership, right? You have to think of all the scenarios. So,
yeah. Superb. So I'm sure people have heard about Stephen Covey's 6 different hats, 6 thinking hats. So now you could actually come up with Aditya Sandhu's 5, questions or 5 thinking hats, maybe. So and that explains, how important it is to view, business from different lenses, and that's where we have a CEO talking. So superb to, get this coffee brew with you. Now, if we were to move to a slightly more core conversation, and, I'd like to begin with your career journey. A lot of people fear entrepreneurship, right? Because of the risks involved. And because of the fact that there's no, certainty called the paycheck that comes at the end of the month. But you actually took that risk, leaving a brand like ITC, and that too after spending 7 to 8 years making a place for yourself. So what made you take that plunge when you founded BrainPlay? And what's that fear? That a lot of people think about it. They want to do it, but something holds them back. So what is it that people fear, and what is it that they misunderstand about entrepreneurship completely? Want to hear your point of view.
I think so. Answering the first part first, I think it was, if you go, so it starts with ITC. ITC itself, even though it's a 100-year-old company, it was a very entrepreneurial environment, because, and especially at the time when I had, I had the good fortune of being a part of the organization, that it was rapidly diversifying. So while you had a 100-year-old business in cigarettes, which they're, well known for, but we were launching foods, personal care, and several, categories, product lines, brands within that. So very, very high on entrepreneurship. And I found that energizing. I found that I had the aptitude for it. Now you take a step back. What's happening in the rest of the country? I think, again, some of the early success stories, or at least inspiring stories of people venturing into creating their own, entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurship as an acceptable, career pursuit was, it was just starting to become that, right? If you go back in time, way back in the 90s, people would have, your own family would have questioned you that, are you sure? I mean, doing a job is stable, it's the thing to do. What are you even thinking, right? So that was becoming acceptable. And then I think I had people around me who were also like-minded. So while I was at ITC in the last couple of years, I had, started thinking about testing myself as an entrepreneur, and I felt that if I didn't do it, I might look back and wish that I had. And then it was a matter of finding the right idea and the right partner. So that's how that came about. It was not an overnight thing. It was something that was taking shape over those 7-8 years, and till the end, when it suddenly everything checked, all the boxes got checked, and it's in like, ye to ab karna hi hai, right? Now I have to try. To your second part of your question about why do people hesitate. I think and I think that's something also that people should be prepared for, is that you have to step away from your comfort zone. It is very, if depending on your, the makeup of your mind and your personality, it can be the most rewarding thing. And forget about outcomes. I'm not talking about rewarding in the sense that your business became a huge success. I'm saying just the process. The learnings are huge. The level of ownership that you have to take is huge. You build everything from, you're the first person, right? The first employee.
Right.
You have to build everything from there. It's just an idea in your mind. And then how do you build it out into something that someone else will pay for? It's a very rewarding, the validation you get if you,
Absolutely.
even if it's simple things are very, very high, but it's also very unpredictable. There are as many lows as there are highs. You have to carry the responsibility of the whole organization on your shoulders. It's 24/7. So it's very, very, and then of course the paycheck, right?
Yes.
It's risk. So what's my takeaway therefore? And, what do I feel if I was, telling myself this years later, I think the thing that I felt made sense was, I think I ended up doing it at the right time. I had enough of a career, sort of base that I had built before that, which meant that that was also my insurance policy, that if this doesn't work, I have done enough that I can come back to a career.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was young enough that I had enough time that even if this does not work, there is so much time to make up, and come back to where you would be in your career journey. And the best thing is that that experience stays with you till today. One of the things, when a potential board or, organization or a, executive search person reaches out to me, one of the things that they like about, one of the reasons why they're talking to me is because because of my startup experience. So that sticks to, almost even a decade later. So I think that's the way people should look at it. If you have a good idea, back yourself, but be prepared for what it takes. Be a little patient. And, I think when you're young enough, your risks are much lower.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very beautifully answered, Aditya. And I think I think anybody can take a good, two things out of this. One, from what I hear you say, is that take a calculated risk. I mean, it is of course a risk that you want to take, and if you have the appetite for it, but do it sensibly. And see that, whether you have that sort of a backing, and also I feel people who are ready to who really have the patience and are ready to wait. I've seen, entrepreneurs falling into this trap that, oh my God, I must, I will do well as an entrepreneur. But the definition of doing that well is that the day I earn the same amount of salary at which I left the corporate world, that is my measure of success. That can never be a measure of success, especially in the first few years. So if you're thinking like that, you're not up for entrepreneurship right now. You're not ready for it, because you have to be very patient, and you have to be patient with not just your venture taking off, but also with the fact that it will take you some time to reach from where you left your corporate journey. You may surpass it. There's no doubt about it if you're successful. But then expecting that to happen in the first few years is absolutely like killing yourself. It's not going to happen. If it happens, you're super duper lucky. One out of, I think, millions, if that happens. And the second thing I think people can take away is that you always have the option to fall back upon that insurance policy that you said. I think that's beautifully put, that if you've done well in your corporate career, it's all right to take a break and try out something on your own, because you do have that. And I think that is something that worked for me as well. When I started Positive Vibes, I was also very unsure. And of course, like you said, your own parents discourage you because they've seen that side of, when they were working, job was always secure, and it's always a good idea to be in a job, vis-a-vis entrepreneurship, which brings with itself a whole lot of risks. But I think when you have that thought at the back of your mind that let me try it out, if it doesn't work, I always have a corporate career to fall back upon. I think that's a big one. And I think in my time when we started off, there was still some apprehensions about why is there a gap in the CV and what did you do and all of that. But I don't think that is the case anymore. And I've said this earlier that organizations are starting to value, like you said,
Yes.
you have executive search firms talking to you. One of the reasons is because, people value your startup experience. I think that's the reality today. A gap in the CV does not mean that you were doing nothing. It meant it actually is something great that you went out, you had the appetite to take the risk, you went out, you had the courage to start something on your own, and for whatever reason, you decided to come back. That's a choice. But I think in today's times, there's definitely, the ecosystem is much more receptive to doing something like that. So totally agree on that. Great. So, Aditya, after BrainPlay, you re-entered the corporate world and you took up roles at Udaan and Nykaa. So what was harder? Was it starting again from scratch, or readjusting into that structure again? Because startups are very unstructured and you bring a method to the madness, if we were to put it like that. So what was more tough? And I think, I'm sure people would also want to know that why did you come back into the corporate world again?
So maybe I'll answer that part first. I had put a lot of time. So I think the good thing is that I had been, we had given enough time to our venture, and it did. I think the tricky part was that it did moderately well, right? So we had our customers were other businesses. So it was it was a B2B skill tech enterprise, and we had the quality of the customer base was very strong, the margins were very good, but it was also highly customized. And what we had thought would allow us to scale it, we realized that some of those reusability hypotheses that we had was a little tough to pull off then. I think today the same idea would do really well, because with generative AI, it's so much easier.
Yeah, easier.
But back then it was all very manual and therefore, very intense in terms of the bandwidth that goes in. And it was a balance. And I think what I looked at really was, my own appetite. Why did I enter into this? And it was a choice, right? That I can, if I'm comfortable doing this, I can do this for the rest of my life. But if I want something more, then I need to, maybe go back to the drawing board. And I think there was a lot more hunger inside me. I wanted, I was chasing something much bigger. And again, no regrets, because I took a lot of learning out of it. But I think what I did after that also was equally enjoyable. So that's what, brought me back into the corporate world. I think in terms of, a question of what is more challenging, firstly, they are both challenging, right? And exactly the way you framed it, I think, because the challenge in a startup is you are the flag bearer of that idea. You have to put together a team, you have to build the product, get the clients, build the confidence in the team, in the outside world. And in all of this, nobody knows what's going on inside your mind, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to be like the brand ambassador for everything to everyone, right? But at the same time, I think there are certain people, and since you've been doing your own thing now for some years, I'm sure you relate with that. There's some people who enjoy that. So if you enjoy that, then it's not intimidating. If you don't enjoy it, then it might be one of the worst things. So I enjoyed it. So even though it's a big challenge, I was comfortable doing that. I think when I came back to the corporate world, I was really looking at, all said and done. And like you said a little while earlier, I wasn't sure of, this, how much time have I lost, right? In all of this, and how is this going to, how much time do I have to make up? So I was really looking for something that would give me non-linear, growth. And Udaan was just one of those places. So Udaan was a great place to come back from running a startup. And Udaan had very high, proportion of employees that had either come from the world of consulting or were ex-entrepreneurs. So, and very, very, strong talent pool, and very nimble. So very, it was like, so it was like being a startup within a startup. So in some ways, it was the best thing that could have happened to me, was to come back and join Udaan, and it made it easier and allowed me to ease back into a professional career, while also giving me that non-linear growth opportunity. So, it's one of those worlds where you do well, you'll get more, right? So
awesome.
It ended up perfectly.
Great. What I like about your journey, and what I absolutely love, is that you've really taken your career very seriously, and you've thought through what you want to do. So even when it was leaving a brand like ITC and going into entrepreneurship, it was a calculated sort of a call that you took, and you did have, those 8 years of experience behind you to fall back upon. But I think interestingly, after you decided to sort of, not pursue with the startup, you took a very, I would say again, a very intelligent call in deciding what kind of company do you want to come back to. I mean, I'm sure you would have an option of coming back to any, any good organization given your, background with ITC. But I think it's a very intelligent choice to come into a place like Udaan, which would give you that opportunity to sort of, look for things that you wanted to achieve. And that was probably the reason why you came back into the corporate world. So point I'm trying to make is that, careers are, you may have a non-linear growth. You may have a sort of a zigzag in your career, but I think that zigzag is not haphazard, if I may put it. It is very structured and it is very thought through. So I think that's a very powerful takeaway for people, because whatever you may decide to do, I think if you put your thought and your brain into what next, and that explains why Aditya wants to see things from 5 different lenses, because he does it with his own career, and that's a beautiful thing. I think that's a big one for anyone to take away. But Aditya, when you came back to the corporate, did you again feel the pressure to prove yourself again? And what would you like to tell the senior professionals who fear re-entering the corporate world after a break or after a venture?
I think one must embrace it and look forward to it, because it's, firstly, I think the only way is forward. If you've tried something, it didn't work. I think the only bad decision would be that it's not it's not aligned with where you want to go, but you still keep doing it because you're afraid of the other thing. I think that's where it's a hard call, but it's also in my mind a clear call. You have to move on, you have to move forward. And that involves coming back to, for many people, coming back to a professional career. I think, the choice of the organization and the entry point is obviously, it makes a big difference. And for me, Udaan presented me a beautiful opportunity that way. Right. And the pressure was very high. And I'll tell you, the pressure was twofold, but more the pressure that I was putting on myself. So one is, of course, I think, somebody I went on to develop a very good relationship with. One of the leaders who interviewed me when I was coming back, and the process moved very, very quickly. But he was the chief marketing officer there, and he told me, what, this is the role, this is the opportunity. But let me tell you, if in 6 months, if it doesn't work out, right, and it may have nothing to do with you, if the idea doesn't click, then you might not have a job here, right? And so I'm weighing that up against, very, very stable opportunities that are coming in front of me. But so there was that obviously at the back of my mind. I knew that this failure is not an option. This has to work. But I think bigger pressure, which I put, and I'm not saying that that's the right thing, but I'm just being honest about it, is that I felt that I have to cover up for some time, right? Some lost time, and I've been out of a linear career journey, and I have to do well so that I can catch up, move through the gears faster. So that pressure was something that I put on myself, and I think I felt for the first year I felt more of that on myself, and then I think as things went on, I also felt that things are moving fine, and this is fine. I'm back.
Great. So again, that mindset, I think this requires a lot of self-talk that one does. And as an entrepreneur, I've always said this, that you need to do a lot of self-talk to yourself. And I think you carried that trait back to the corporate where you did the self-talk, and you realize that it is a new start, and you'll have to sort of, go a little fast to cover up on what you've possibly missed, and missed not in terms of learning or in terms of experience, but more in terms of being in the structure, being in a certain kind of a workflow, and working for someone else. So stuff like that, I'm sure.
There's one thing, Shivani, just add there, because I think you just touched on it, and I think that's an important takeaway for others. That while everything that I said was focused on looking at again, it's that side of thinking through all the scenarios. I was looking at what might not be there, but I think it's equally important. So what do I have to catch up with, right?
Right.
But I think equally important is that I brought something to the table that many others didn't, right? And that startup experience me, gave me the opportunity to learn so much about, which a linear career doesn't allow you. So there's a lot that I came with that, in some sense, has, sort of made me, propelled me through this third leg of my career, right? So
Absolutely.
very important.
Great. That's very important, and thanks for bringing that up. I think that's a very powerful one. But Aditya, you moved across very different environments, from traditional corporate to consumer tech and then entrepreneurship. So, what's that one skill that has helped you to survive and grow in every setup, no matter the industry, the form of working, entrepreneurship, corporate role? Whether you're working for yourself, whether you're working for somebody else, what's that one thing? What is that one skill that has really helped you do well in all of these stages of your career?
I think, I would say the one thing that has helped me, so what would be the thing that has helped me the most? I think, if you have good problem solving skills, that is something that will generally be required in anything you do, and will make you relatively good at what you do. If you have that ability to look at, because, whether it's a career, whether it's your own startup, or whether it is just, you get thrown a lot of curveballs, a lot of things don't go as planned, things are dynamic,
Right.
things shift. And if you have the, the mindset and the skill set to pick those opportunities up and take them apart to figure out what do we do now, right? And how do you, work your way through that? I think that is something that helps. I'll also add one more thing, because I think that's equally important. Which is, having generally, I think, if you're able to work well with people. So team skills, it's not just a leadership skill, it's also how do you work with stakeholders and peers. So how do you lead teams? How do you work with peers? How do you work with different stakeholders in the organization? And that matters. Again, it matters in a corporate career. It matters, as an entrepreneur, as you've seen both of those worlds. So I'm sure again can relate. And then I think the last thing is, you have an appetite to learn. These three things will help you no matter what you do.
Absolutely. And I think you touched upon two very key skills that we keep talking about, and we keep, discussing about them. But actually, you're a living example of, if one was to see how important it is to have these two skills. One, the problem solving one, because I think that's a big one today. Organizations are looking. Let me not talk about entrepreneurship. Of course, entrepreneurship gets born out of a problem. You identify a problem, and you're wanting to solve a problem. You want to give the world a solution for that problem. So that, of course, is there. But I think even in the on the other side, which is the corporate world, I feel a lot of organizations today, and in fact, all the good organizations today, even at the at the entry level, are looking for people who can solve problems, who are problem solvers. And it's no longer a skill that is required only for the senior levels. It's a skill that is required right at the entry, and that is how the hiring process is designed.
You value it.
Yeah, and that is how the hiring process is designed right at the campus level as well, wherein organizations spot the talent which has the potential of becoming smart problem solvers. And the second one, I think that you said also is extremely important. I would put it as stakeholder management. And I think that is one of the key skills that I have personally experienced and seen. People who have this skill are massively successful in their careers. If you have the knack of identifying, how to navigate through your stakeholders, who may be people of different personalities. We use a very beautiful framework called the DISC to do this. And believe me, it is so accurate, and it is so, it's such a beautiful way to know, to understand your stakeholders, understand how you navigate through someone who's not like you. So I may be of one personality type, but I end up working with somebody who's a complete opposite. But I still have to do well. I still have to navigate. Yeah. So I think that's a very big skill today, and it's a very rare skill. But people are putting in efforts to learn, to create. You're never born with it. You're not born with it. Of course, none of us were born with it. Yeah. But it is one of the key skills of this century, I would say, that any professional at whatever level you are in must have. The ability to understand your stakeholders, what motivates them, what are their needs, what puts them off. And especially the ones who are not like you,
right?
And navigate your world through them. So I think that's a very powerful one. Thanks for bringing that up. Superb. So it's almost time. I want you to sign off this conversation. If you had to sum up your career in one word, Okay. And you had to get that word printed on a mug in which you will have your morning chai and your morning coffee. What would it be? What would that word be?
Uh, I think the word I would like to keep reminding myself of, right? Because I think it's I'd print that word I'd print would be builder. Because I think it's something that I have enjoyed doing, and I think it's it's something that I would like to keep reminding myself also every day. You are a builder, and you keep like sort of building forward, right? So builder is whether it was in my corporate career at ITC or at entrepreneurship or post that, I think that's been one consistent theme.
Superb. I love the word builder. And, just on the lighter note, you and I live in a place, which is Gurgaon, in which that word builder also has a lot of weight because of the real estate market.
Especially in the last 3-4 years, right?
Especially in the last 3-4 years. So actually, it makes a lot of sense to have builder printed on your mug and carry it to wherever you want to. And, it's a very powerful one here. Yeah. Great, Aditya. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you so much for being so refreshingly honest, with that no-nonsense conversation and a very genuine, heartfelt experience sharing that you did. And we hope to get you back again soon on one of our seasons. This is our season 2. We hope to have many more seasons and get you back again, because obviously we can't cover a 20-year-old journey into a 30-minute episode. So we'll definitely call you back again. Thank you so much for being here.
Shivani, it also gave me an opportunity to reflect. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. And great. And to our audience, if you are somebody who's early in your career and trying to figure it all out, or if you're mid-career and wondering what next, or if you're already leading teams and shaping up the impact, I hope this episode has left you with at least one insight that you all can act on maybe tomorrow. And if this conversation, like Aditya said, made him pause, reflect, and if this also made you pause and reflect and rethink, then do follow the podcast, share it with your friends, and tell us your biggest takeaway from today. Season 2 has many more real voices, strong voices, many more career truths coming your way. So stay tuned, and we'll meet you next month. Keep your coffee strong and your conversations even stronger. Thank you. Signing off.
Thank you.